you need to use a webhook trigger in Zapier and you're a bit new to this, you are a bit lost. So let's figure out what this is about, what it is for, and I'll add a few concrete examples to hopefully make it clearer for you. So a webhook trigger in Zapier basically is useful to receive information into your Zap when no actual trigger is existing between Zapier and whatever application that you're using. So Zapier, in this case, is going to give you, and you're probably at this step already, if you did set up catch hook, configure, I usually don't even use this. All right, that's where we land. You are getting a webhook URL, and you are going to want to paste that into the other app, which Zapier would be listening for new events. Basically, the whole logic behind this is to tell the triggering app when such event happens in the app, send a notification to this URL. It can be from any other service than Zapier. The logic will remain the same, but right now, yeah, we're doing it with Zapier. So we just want to copy this URL and find where in your triggering app to paste this in order for this to work. So I have a few examples, but remember that it really depends on the app you're using. Some don't even have a webhooks option. You would have to check that with the client support. Some are harder to find than others, but there's usually a common logic behind it. So for an example, I copied the URL. Let's use JotForm, which you might not need because they have a pretty strong Zapier integration. But here, for instance, we want a webhook to be sent to Zapier when a new form is being sent. And you are going to want to look for, this is for JotForm and any other app, anything that says settings, integrations, automation, or finally webhook. It could also be saying API or HTTP requests. That's the keywords that you want to look for in your app. So here in JotForms, I directly here see integrations. And below we have CRM, storage, we have a bunch of available integrations. And if I stay here on automation, I see Zapier make Power Automate, but I also see webhooks. So if you're in another apps, that's definitely the keywords that you want to click on. And you will have on the other side, all right, so here I just have to apply that to a form. So I'll select here my existing form. And here is what's interesting to us, because the point is that at some moment, your app will always be end up asking you where to send the notification and what event do we relate it to. So that's very specific to your own app. Here we see it's related to send form submissions notifications to this URL. And the URL, here I'll just paste my Zapier one and I'll click complete integration. Okay, it's ready, perfect. So I'll finish. And back to Zapier here, we did what we had to do. So next step is to test the trigger to get a dummy data load that you can work with to map the rest of your Zap. So here I'll test trigger, we should have nothing, all right. I'll just complete this example form that I have on JotForm so we can see information pop up, but definitely that's all that needs to do. We copy paste this URL in our triggering app and specify what event should lead to information being sent to that URL. I could fill a test load for my form. So now if I click again on test trigger, there it is. We get the dummy information that I put in the form. And that will work like a classic Zapier trigger. You will be able to map the fields that you received here on subsequent steps and build your Zap. So that's how it is. And I wanted to let you know also that there are, for instance, variants to this. So for most apps, you're going to want to look for webhooks settings part where you just set the rule when such and such event happens, send a notification to this Zapier URL. But sometimes you might also want to add this URL to some workflow logic within your app. So here I have an example within ManyChat, which is an application to automate Instagram or WhatsApp message sequences. So there we are inside ManyChat. So we see the whole messages logic. And then we have the option to select on reply, let's trigger an action. And this action would be an HTTP request that corresponds to a specific Zapier webhook. And we're going to send the data of the contact that's being managed in this workflow to Zapier, so we can continue automate over there, save the person to your CRM if they reached a specific moment in your automated Instagram sequence. So that's the same logic. It requests a URL and then what piece of data it should send, and you set it at a specific place of your workflow. So that's another way to use webhooks. And the third one also would be to, for instance, send webhooks to another tool still. So here we used webhooks to catch data. And another simple way to use it would be to send a post request to another tool with this same data that we received. You might not want to use a ton of webhooks steps in a same Zap, but in another automation that you might be building, you might find this useful. So in this case here, say I want to send this jot form information now on my Airtable base. So I'll open an Airtable workflow and use webhooks as a trigger, just the same. And likewise, Airtable is going to provide me with a URL that I will copy and paste here in Zapier as the destination for my data load. And I'll just have to fill data, for instance, with the email of the lead. Okay. Okay, there it is. Email of the lead, and say feedback that the person gave us. All right, test feedback. Okay, so here you can add as many data entries as you want, but that's going to be the body of the request. And then we're going to post it to this Airtable URL. And you notice that it's the same logic that what we did before. So here I'll do continue and test. And on Airtable on the other side now, I should have received it. Here, if I do test, yes, we found one incoming webhook, and the body is just what I programmed on Zapier. So that's the logic behind webhooks. On the simple side, you can do much more advanced things with webhooks, but if you're beginning with it and mostly using it as a trigger, that might definitely that might definitely be what you are looking for in order to enhance your workflows. So thanks for watching, and let me know if you would like any more information about webhooks.